Welcome to your vibrant velvet voice, Skywalker Payne. What is wisdom? Here's a quote from Isaac Asimov. The saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. Now, that is the quote by Isaac Asimov, who was a scientist and a science fiction writer, a thinker who could speak on this contradiction, which I have also spoken on many times. The failure of humanity with all of our mental capacity and knowledge to be able to have as much wisdom about our own mental abilities and capabilities and the wisdom to interact with each other on a higher level than we still do. You know, there are humans who justify everything from killing animals for trophies to eating meat as our God given domain over animals. Yet, we are animals. And humans act more like animals than these highly enlightened beings who have created these wonderful technological wonders so that you can hear my voice wherever you are. And I don't even know who you are. But those who we call leaders, they're too many in other worlds, because the highest concern for all of us should be protecting our dear Mother Earth. But that's a whole nother topic. But it also shows where wisdom is lacking, because everything we need to survive, everything we need on earth comes from earth. And if we don't take care of our mother, the one from which we receive all of our food, and also all of the supplies, the inner workings, the chips, and the special materials used in these electronics. Now, of course, the higher wisdom is being able to develop our mental and psychic capabilities so we don't need these electronics, so that we could sit and communicate through our minds. Now, I know there are people who can do that. And I have to confess again, I'm not one of those people. Although I do have a high degree of knowing and a high degree of thinking of people just before they communicate with me. So I do very much believe in our innate ability to transcend the limits of time and space and communicate with each other without machines. But, oh, think of how many jobs would be lost. That's the first thing you hear when you start talking about our own innate energies to take care of ourselves in every way we need. Isn't that what all of the great spiritual teachers teach us? That we have within this wonderful physical being that is a universe of microscopic and semi microscopic creatures and beings and so much water. This is what an individual body is. And there's so many of us universes on this physical planet. But we're unique because we're humans. And this is a unique opportunity for each of us as humans to develop wisdom. That's what we're here for. I mean, we have shown we can develop and build anything. And our creative minds love to build these huge, humongous spaceships to carry us through space. And why is it that everybody who we meet from outer space, except on Star Trek, but so many of them, the outer space creatures just are anathema to us? That we're talking about wisdom. So I will ask anyone here if you have any comments or observations of what wisdom means to you. How does it manifest in your life? How have you seen it grow in your life? How has it grown in my life? Well, I like to think that I've learned from my past bad experiences that I finally was able to, for example, get married to a man, and we're still married over 25 years, pushing 30 years being together, which is an accomplishment in these days because relationships require wisdom. The wisdom to know when to speak, when not to speak, when to touch, when not to touch, when to suggest, when not, when to comfort and when you should have comforted and didn't, when to ask for forgiveness. Those are aspects of relationships that require wisdom. You either are told it or you learn it. And in a relationship, there's always learning happening, whether it's your relationship with your spouse, relationship with your boss, relationship with your parents. And sadly, many of these relationships, we don't have wise guidance. There's too many rules that society makes without considering, is this a really wise decision? But then what is wisdom and what makes a decision wise? So let's think of one thing for me that makes a decision wise is, does it impact others, other sentient beings? And that includes animals and plants, with compassion, without harm. That's wisdom. Now, sadly, we live in a world that does not consider in most endeavors first, how does this endeavor create compassion and no harm? So that's our thought for today on what is wisdom. It is something you seek. It is something constantly growing within your own consciousness, as much of it as you do seek. Contemplate, what does wisdom mean to you? And by the way, have you asked your ancestors for some wisdom from them today? With gratitude.
Thank you for spending another few minutes with your vibrant velvet voice, Skywalker Payne. And you can always hear me or see me on my website, vibrantvelvetvoice.net, or on Facebook at Unified Synergy. And of course, you can always subscribe to the Vibrant Velvet Voice app. And if you want to spend a little money and help keep this show going, why don't you buy a cup of coffee for Skywalker Payne or become a Patreon member at Patreon/Vibrant Velvet Voice. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again. With gratitude.